Hey folks, today we got a lesson on triads. Triads are groups of 3 notes that make all the different major and minor chords. So they're very important to know, and they can give you all kind of things like easier fingerings. Sometimes you got a difficult chord, people have trouble with F, stuff like that, F minor. Well, knowing about the triads tells you that if you play just 3 of the different strings of those 4, you're still getting all the 3 notes that are needed to make that chord. So sometimes there's easier ways, like say this little D shape right here. You could do like a E chord. Say if E was a difficult chord, you could take that D up to, which is how we go from a D to an E chord anyway. You could take that D shape and just don't play the big string anymore. And now you have this different E chord. Say like if we go one more, then F is like can be a difficult chord for a lot of people, but that is the easier way of doing F if you get used to just muting the big string when you play those notes. So here's the F, G, A. So there's all kind of different ways. Triads are really important, and it's good for your music theory, basic knowledge, stuff like that. So we're going to have a little chromatic exercise. We're going to talk about the names of the strings and how to find all the notes on the neck, and then we're going to get into triads, major scales, how those are made, how to find the different ones, how to find minor scales. We're going to also get into later on the triad solo from Hotel California by the Eagles. Okay, so triads today, here we go. So let's get started with a little chromatic warm-up here. We're going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4 thing. So let's do that with me here. So each time when you play your good note, you want to be near the fret but not too close to it, but you don't want to be too back on your frets, so you want to be up on the new one. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then next string. Then we're going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4. And then one thing you do when you practice these, when you go up and you get all the way to this little one here, take that up one and do that each time you get to the end. So here I'm going to go up to this 3, so let's count that up. 3, 4. And then I'm going to go up 1, 3, 4. Okay, so let's get into naming the strings. So the strings are D is the big one, G, and then B, and then E. So D, G, B, and E. And the little E is number 1, and the B is number 2, and the G is number 3, and the D is number 4. Okay, so the first thing is how to find notes. So the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And all of the notes are 2 frets away from each other except 2 sets. That's B and C and E and F. So all the other notes like A to B is 2 frets, but B to C is only 1 fret. C to D is 2, D to E is 2, but E to F is only 1. So you just have to remember B to C, E to F, very important. Those are the ones that are only 1 fret apart. So we can name all the notes just by knowing that type of a thing and then talking about what a sharp is and a flat is. So let's do that really quick. Let's look at the G string. So the G string is G open when you play that open string. That's the 3rd string from the bottom, right? So G, now G to A is where that musical alphabet starts again. Still, it's 2 frets to get from G to A because it's not one of those exceptions, B to C, E to F. So the G, you got to go 2 frets to get to the A. So that's the 2nd fret. So A to B is 2 frets, so that's the 4th fret. Now B to C is only 1 fret. So that's the 5th fret. C to D is 2 frets, so that's the 7th fret. D to E is 2 frets, that's the 9th fret. E to F is only 1, that's the 10th fret. F to G is 2, that's the 12th fret. So by then we've gone all the way through from G all the way to G. Now let's talk about sharps and flats. So we had G and A. We named those 2, but we didn't name the 1st fret. So the 1st fret is higher than G. It's a G sharp. Sharp means higher. So we can call that a G sharp. We could also look at it from the A perspective and call it a A flat because it's lower than A. So that it's G and then G sharp or A flat, either one. depending on what scale you're in is what you'd call it. Usually you try not to use different things, like you're either sharps or you're either flats, you know, so you'd keep it with one to be in a certain scale. So G, G sharp or A flat, A. Now we knew B was 2 frets from A, but we got to name that one in the middle. So that's A sharp or B flat. And then B's 4th fret, C was 5th fret. So this is C sharp or D flat. This is D. This is D sharp or D flat, because we've got to go 2 from D to E, right? So this is D sharp or E flat. This is E. And then, you know, F is only 1 away from E. And then F sharp or G flat would be this next one, and then G. So that's how you find all the notes up the neck. So the pattern is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. If you've ever heard that, that's the pattern of a major scale. So what that means, that was that when we went from 0 to 2, that was a whole step, because that's 2 frets. A half step would be only 1 fret. So we went a whole step to get our second note after we started on G, right? So whole step to here, and then whole step again, and then half step, and then whole step, whole step, whole step, and half step. So that's all the notes of a major scale. So in this case, it was G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. Because G has that 1 sharp. Every key has a different number of sharps or flats. Like the key of C doesn't have any sharps or flats. That's like all the white keys on the piano. So anyway, the whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half will spell out for you all of the different major chords. And being able to know what the scale is, then you can number those notes and you can find the triads to name all the chords. So if we look at that, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those are the different notes of the scale. Well, how you get a major chord is you do the first one and the third one and the 5th one. So remember we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can number that scale, the scale notes that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the ones we use to get the chord is the first one, the third one, and the 5th one. So that is a G, a B, and a D. And if you look at your G chord, you have D, G, B, and G again. So it's just those 3 different notes, but one of them will be repeated if you're playing the 4th string. Okay, so that is how you get a major triad, is you do the first note, the 4th note, and the 5th note of the scale that you want. So we use G, we're trying to find a G chord. That's how we find it. Now to find a minor chord, minor triad, you just take that 3rd note of the scale and you flat it. So that becomes a flat 3rd, they call that. So now it would be open 3rd, which is B flat, and 7, still that same D. So the 2 of the notes are the same, but the one in the middle has gone from a happy note down to like a minor note. Okay, so that's a little explanation of how major scales and minor scales work and how you find the triads. So let's get into looking at some of these chords. Let's say we have let's say this F, but we're not gonna have to do that full F bar chord. We're just gonna do the 3, 2, and 1, so it's kind of easy enough. So this is a major triad shape. Now it kind of comes, if we look at this E, we have the 2, 1 open. It's kind of coming from that same shape there. But when we play it like this, we don't worry about the little string right now. We can move it up. It's a movable triad shape. So that's our F sharp chord right there. Here's our G chord, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and that gets us all the way from, we did the E all the way to the D sharp. So that's a good major triad to know about. Now look at this next part of this F chord. This is also the same triad for F. Anytime you got these 3 different notes going on, you got that triad happening. Now some people have trouble playing that this shape like this. You can always drag that one over there. But let's look at this. So this would be an F chord. In this case, the F is the note on the bottom one. Remember, you got the E string down there, so E to F is 1. So let's look at this one like maybe from the bottom up. So this is an F, then we're up to F sharp, and we're up to G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and E. Okay, so we went all the way through all those chords too. Now let's look at one more thing down here. Now this is another part of the F major. And that's kind of the kind of a riff that's gonna be in that Hotel California thing. So that's another little triad. If you wanted to play like a, you know, different notes at a time, like do little things like that. Now, if we wanted to make this into a minor, we got to just move this top one down. Now let's look at the F minor. This is 3, 1, 1, 1, and that comes from that E minor chord, 2, open, open, open. So we could just do the 3, 1, 1. Here's our F sharp minor. Here's our G minor, G sharp minor, A minor, A sharp minor, B minor, C minor, and so on. Now we could also just look at, see if this is too difficult for you too. Here's the thing where you could look at it like, oh, well, if I play these notes and don't worry about that bass note, I'm still playing an F minor chord, and I'm playing all the notes that are necessary really for it, you know. Just don't have that bass note. Sometimes you don't always need that. So that's your F minor, F sharp minor, G minor, G sharp minor, A minor, etc. Okay, then let's look at, here's another one. Look at your C chord, 2, 0, 1, 0. Now if we have just the 2 open and 1 here, if we move that up, it becomes 3, 1, and 2. See, that's that same shape. So this becomes a C sharp chord here. Then a D chord, and a D sharp, and an E, and an F, and an F sharp, and a G, etc. So those shapes, everything from these open chords turns into a movable shape. And it's especially easy if you just have to do 3 of those notes. See, like trying to make that whole chord becomes more difficult, trying to get that bar down there. But sometimes if we're just doing these 3, it makes it pretty easy. Like look at these other 3 in that chord. That's kind of the D shape, right? So this was the C part of that. C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, right? So it's really good to be able to see all these different shapes. It starts to make things make a lot more sense in a lot of the songs you're playing. And it gives you a lot of options as to maybe an easier fingering to pull some of this stuff off. So let's take a look at the A minor chord. So this is 2, 2, 1, 0. So 2, 2, 1, we can start moving that up. That's an A minor, that's an A sharp minor, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, etc. So we could also look at this this lower part of that. 2, 1, 0. That becomes this movable minor shape. So A minor, A sharp minor, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor. Then let's look at the A chord, A major chord. So this is 2, 2, 2. And this kind of comes from that G kind of shape where you got to open, open, open. You could also do A like this and really mimic that G with the 3 on the bottom. But we're going to want to move this. Sometimes you might just use one finger. You can use it like this if you want. 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. It's B flat or, you know, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. You can also use one finger and try to mute the bottom one by getting a little curve on that finger, kind of curving up. So the 2s, that becomes the A sharp, B, C, C sharp. So these are all different triads. Now if we look at the bottom 3 strings of this A, we got 2, 2 open. That becomes like 3, 3, 1. Okay, so all these things are fun to mess around with. Now let's go ahead and look at that Hotel California solo. So our first thing, we're going to be on the 10th fret and the 7th fret with our first finger in the 10th fret here. We're going to go. So that's a pull off. And then to the, what I'm doing is I'm getting both of these 7s at the same time and trying to keep that firm. So I'll take this 10, pull it off, and then hit that other string. We do 5 sets of that. Now here's a different type of a major triad. So that's going to be 9 to 6, and then a 7 on the 2nd string. And what we do with that is we do that 2 times. The 3rd time, we have a high note. That's going to be the 14th fret. So our 2 things. And then we're going to go to an A major. This is going to be the 5s with the 9. And then 7 to 4 to the 5. Do that twice, and then we do 7, 4 up to 12. So let's look at those three again. Now we got the 3rd fret and the 7th fret, G major. Up to the 10th, and then we're gonna have an E minor, which is 3 open open. And then we got 6, we got the F sharp here, major, so that's gonna be 6, 2, and 2. And the 3rd one goes 6, 2 to the 9th fret. So once again, we got, this is B minor, and that was the F sharp major triad right there. Here goes the A major, and this is the E, and then we got G major, and this is a D, 10th fret, and then E minor, and F sharp major up to the 9th fret. Okay. All right. Hope you guys dug that. Damon's baritone uke joint. Let us know what you want to check out next, and have a great day. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Take it easy.